Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody. It's Jen with Roxy Bonds Creates and it is demo time. We are on day 2 of our virtual crop, and so this demo is featuring the Ness of Winter Suite. So if you don't see live up here in the corner, you're watching a replay, and for those of you who are live with me, please pop in and say hello. All right, so I've got 3 different cards that we're going to create. We are using the Ness of Winter collection, which includes, I believe, these 2 stamp sets, and there's a die cut that goes with this one. There's a die cut that goes with this one too, but I didn't use it today. And the papers. So the papers are this collection here. So there's kind of a variety of different patterns that go in this collection, but the most focal point of this is the birds, which coordinate with the stamp set. So it's the same stamp here, that's right there, and the same one here, that's right there. And therefore it coordinates with the dies. So I'll show you how that worked out. And then there's some other patterns here. We've got this bubble paper, more birds on the back. This one does not coordinate with the dies, but they're pretty easy to cut out and use on your project. We've got this beautiful birchwood paper with this fun, like, I don't know, branch kind of motif on the back. And then we've got, I call them like bird feet. I don't know what they are, little branches. And then this cool paper on the back. And then we also have this green stripe with more birds on the back. Again, pretty easy to cut out. And then we have this branch looking paper with a little bit of birds and some birch trees with birds on the back. So those are the patterns that come in this paper collection. And I think that's all of them. Yep, that's all of them. And we're going to make 3 cards. So let me show you the cards. I've already kind of cut out the pieces. This is the first one. This one's actually like pretty easy to do. You can see there's a little bit of shimmer right there. I'll show you how I did that. This is the second one. And this is the pattern paper that I cut with the die cut. And then this is the third one over here. Super, super versatile. Okay, so this set has the birds and the branches and all that, but it has some like regular sentiments. When you pair it with greetings of the season, you can make it more holiday themed. You can make the papers, you can make the stamps and the die cuts and all that more holiday themed. So I thought this was such a versatile set. So let's talk a little bit about the stamp set. So this one is called Winterly Treetops. It's a stamp and die, so it's a bundle. Bundles are all discounted. It is a cling set, so it is the red rubber set here. And then the dies, this one here cuts out the pattern paper. So that's what happened here, cut out the pattern paper. It also is a stamp, so you could cut it, stamp it, color it yourself, or you could do the quick and easy way, faster, simpler, easier, and just cut out the pattern paper. How cool is that? The same thing with this bird here. There's the die. It has the stamp, or you could cut out the pattern paper, make it faster, simpler, easier. Then we have some branch dies, and my favorite, which is this little swag die. And then there's this one. This is like a card front background. Now, you can cut it as the frame and use that on a card. It's not full card front size, by the way. So this is, I cut it in white. I have a lot of extra pieces just chilling in here because that's how I roll. So this is not full card front size. Oops, that's an oopsie on the back of the card. We'll talk about that when we get there. So it's not full card front. In fact, it doesn't leave, I know it's white on white, but it doesn't leave a symmetrical border either. So It's a little different in my mind, but it's still a really cool option. So you could use this piece on your project, or we're going to use the inside, the cutout, to do some stenciling, which looks really cool. Okay, so that's that bundle. And then this one, Greetings of the Season, is an acrylic set. So it's a photopolymer, and I got more die cuts in there. It's just how I go. And then this one has some really cool, like, scripty ones. So there's bigger sentiments, these two, and then there's just like smaller sentiments. You can mix the Merry with Christmas and use like kind of the double font action there. And then it also is good for tags. So it has the to and from. Really versatile Christmas set. Okay, so let's kind of get started here. I want to do a couple of little prepping things before we get going, because we have to have this one needs time to dry. So what I did on this one is I took the Metallic Enamel Effects in gold along with a palette knife, which is eluding me. Can you hear the airplane in the background? Here's a palette knife. Sorry if that's loud. So with a palette knife, and I just kind of spread some on the background. Now, obviously that needs time to dry. So we're going to do this piece first, and I'm going to set it aside and hopefully not ruin it. But what I'm doing is I'm really liking this glass mat for card making and stamping. It's a really good size. It's 13 by 13. And I love it for that. I don't love it for scrapbooking because I put a piece of paper on there and it like slides all around. So there's that. But the glass mat is cool because I'm just going to squeeze. It kind of works like an all-purpose mat where it's easy to clean up. So I'm going to squeeze a bunch of this on here. And then I'm going to pick it up with the palette, and kind of spread it around a little bit, but pick it up with the palette knife. And I'm just going to kind of smudge it on here to create a background to do the stamping. So I think that that's kind of what I'm looking for. And so we're going to use a baby wipe to clean the palette knife and wipe that up. So this is going to take a little bit of time to dry, and then once it's dry, we can stamp our sentiment right onto it. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Oh, we're going to cross our fingers that that doesn't get ruined. Okay, and I'm going to move this piece out of the way. Now let's work on this one. And this one, I have a piece of this bubble paper. I don't really know a better way to call it, but it's kind of like this pool party, I think is the color aqua. And then on the back, it has the birds. But I also paired it with a little bit of red glitter paper, which is going to give us like the Christmassy look. And so what I have here is I have stenciled on some of the leaves from this background. So here's the stencil piece. Okay, so this is the inside of that frame that I showed you, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use just one side of it, so you can see this is my used piece, and I'm going to stencil directly onto the card front. So let's move this out of the way, and I need my card base. And then what I wanna do is kind of put my paper on here, and then I want to make a pencil mark, right on the edge of where the pattern paper is. And I'm just going to kind of put it at the top and at the bottom, just to kind of show me like where I can stencil. And then I don't even need to erase that, because I will end up putting this right on top of it. So that's just my guide of where my paper ends, and then I can use the glitter piece to kind of cover up anything I don't want. What I have done here is we are using shaded spruce to do our stenciling. And again, I'm using my glass mat, which means I don't need anything underneath, and I can just wipe off whatever excess I have. I have all my little blending brushes in a bag from traveling so many times and going to different events. So we're just going to take this and I'm going to, oh, first of all, hold on, please. We need to tape this on. And I want the leaves to show. So I have my little washi right there and down here. And I want these leaves to kind of peek out. So I'm actually going to move it a little bit more so that I have a little bit of that edge like coming through. Okay. So let's tap off a little bit, and then this piece is going to get covered. So it doesn't matter if I have a lot of ink like over on this side. I'm also going to put a big sentiment and things like right here. So I don't need to go too far down on into the middle of the card. So I'm going to start kind of at this little spot here. I just want to make sure, yeah, I'm in the camera. Okay. So we're going to kind of go heavy here and then just get some color into there. Tap off, go heavy and get some color into the little leaves there. And then do the same over here. That's real heavy, but that's okay because we may or may not see it. Okay, so now I'm going to peel this up and you can see the edge there, and something happened there that might have been my finger. So let me clean that off. And hopefully that'll be covered up. And if it's not, we're going to make sure it's covered up. So that's what happens when you make little boo-boos on your project. So now I want to come down here and we are going to just do here, here, and here. So tap off and, oh wait, hold on. Let's go a little further out like I did on the last one. Okay. So let's be careful of my inky fingers. All right, that's about all I need. There we go. And let's wipe that up. Kind of wipe this off so it doesn't get all over the place. And let's start covering things up so that it looks more like a card. Okay, so we've got that. Let's put our pattern paper pieces on. And then we're going to, so see how I cover this up? And now you can just see like those edges kind of poking out, which looks fun. And then we're going to put this on. And I like to use my tear tape for that, but I'm not seeing it laying around here. This tear tape is maybe a little bit thick, but let's try it. This is the Stampin' Up! One. I have some that's thinner. I kind of like that better, but this is actually the same width of what I cut. So I just have to make sure I get it on there exactly. So these skinny pieces, I like to use tear tape because it's so much easier than trying to put my adhesive on with the gun. So I've cut this piece at 6 inches, so it's a little tiny bit big, and I'm gonna have to snip off the edge, but that's okay. It's actually kind of better sometimes to do that than to have a piece that's like just shy of 5.5 inches tall, right? Okay, so you can see I've got a couple little boo-boos in there, and we're gonna try to, you know, cover them up with embellishments and things like that. But what I have, let's see, I should have a third one. Yeah, I do have a third one. What I have is, this is part of the stamp set from the Winterly Treetops, and I love it because it could be just kind of like fall. You could make it Christmas. You can make it a little bit of anything. So what I did on this one is I took a marker and I colored. So now to see if I can find the same color marker that I used on that one. I believe it was Jade Green. So let me bring this guy back in and just kind of test. Yep, that looks pretty good. This is a little bit lighter. I like the lighter one. So we're gonna use the light. And I just kind of like went in and not very perfectly colored. So there's a little bit of white space, kind of a little bit of everywhere. And And then these little like circles could be berries, but they actually kind of look like little olives, like it's an olive branch or something like that, which it very well could be. I don't know. I don't know my foliage. That's not my strong suit, knowing foliage and name of things. Flowers, you all know that hopefully by now. But I'm just going to go through and color here. So this is one way to add color to this branch. You could use shimmer brush, which I did on one of these cards. I'm sure not this, clearly not this one, but I did a whole set of these cards. So I used shimmer brush on some, I've used markers, I've used ink blending, which we're going to do on one of the cards. So that's how this one came about. So there's our swag there. And then the red parts are going to be something else. So this is going to go, I'm going to cover up this little boo-boo up here with that. And then I think that the sentiment should cover that. So let's get to that part. Now, I have ink still on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, yep, I still have ink on there. I'm just going to brush a little tiny bit of ink right in the center there. And then I'm going to take it and go along the edges. And then I get to stamp. Okay, let's do a little wiping up of all my color here. That is one of the blessings of the glass mat, is that you can wipe up real quick and easy. So now we're going to use Greetings of the Season, and I put Season's Greetings on there, so let's do that again. And then since we are using Stampin' Up! Inks, as you can see, they blend very well because we just did the blending. But now let's talk about using them for stamping. Where is my square block? Well, we're going to use this block. Okay, stamping with Stampin' Up! Inks. So these inks are the same formula, I guess you could say, as what we're used to with the Close to My Heart. They are water-based dye inks. Okay, that's what Close to My Heart was. The difference is this is a foam pad and Close to My Heart inks were on a felt pad. Okay, so that's a felt pad right there. And so when you're inking up with a felt pad, we had to tap, tap, twist, twist, tap, tap. I'm going to show you what happens. First, I'm going to stamp it, but I'm going to show you what happens when you tap, tap, twist, twist, tap, tap. Okay. So actually let's play. Okay. So if I have, let's go with kind of similar. Okay. Similar inks. This is Scarlet. If I want to ink up, let's Season. If I want to ink up Season's Greetings with Scarlet ink on a felt pad, I'm going to tap, 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 tap. I got to really like get the ink on there good. Okay. I can see it's pretty good coverage. Let's stamp. And I moved the stamp a little bit, but that's pretty good coverage. Okay. Let's wipe it up. All right. If I'm going to stamp with Stampin' Up! Ink, all I'm going to do is lightly tap. I've got good coverage there. Let's stamp it. Now remember, this is a different color, but look how much sharper that is. Wow. All right, let's do the little test. And I lightly tapped. Hopefully you saw that. If I was going to do the same thing I do with Close to My Heart inks, because I did this, tap, 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 twist, 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 tap, tap, tap. Look at how much ink I have. That's the same thing I just did on that. Okay, the foam pad holds the ink so much juicier and like there's just so much more ink. Okay, and now I have ink everywhere. Okay, so my very first time stamping with a Stampin' Up! Ink, that's what I did. I was just like tap, tap, twist, twist, and I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And so I just completely got ink all over that, and now it's all stained, which is fine. It's not going to stamp like that. It's fine. Okay. So word to the wise, note to self, that is the difference. Okay. Felt pad versus foam pad. All right. So let's stamp Season's Greetings. We're going to lightly tap. Let's get a little bit of ink on there. Season's Greetings. And voila. All right. So there is your tutorial on the difference between the inks. And if you didn't know that already, now you know. And so when we're talking about the quality is great. If we're talking about the fact that none of us like how they open and close and they're challenging, I agree. Okay, so I'm gonna take my nail, pull it, and then you really got to make sure they're closed. Ask me how I know that one too. All right, so let's assemble this. This is pretty easy. You'll notice I did not do the berries yet. That's because I want to put it on my card and do that last. That way nothing gets like moved around or smudged or anything like that. Okay, so everything here is going to go on with dimensionals. So let's go with my greeting first. And these are Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, which I love. I mean, foam tape is foam tape, but these are like, you know, hexagon shaped. They're fun. Okay, so let's go with this guy first. I'm going to purposely like move it so that it is covering my smudge over there. And then we'll go with this guy second. And I guess we'll just do 4. Why not? And then we're going to put on our berries. Okay, so this is going to go there. Do I cover up my little mistake? Not really. That's okay. All right, we've got a couple little boo-boos there, but you know what? That's what happens when you do a homemade card. All right, so for this one, okay, so these are the enamel effects. Enamel effects, gold, copper, and silver. Okay, I love these. You can do the same thing, you know, making berries and making embellishments with these. You can also like smudge them out, okay? These are pearlized enamel effects. So same kind of thing, except for they're not metallic, they're pearlized. So this is black. It makes kind of like a deep platinum kind of look, white and then red. So these are perfect for Christmas and making your berries. If you have liquid pearls, which was a Ranger product, it's very, very similar. So I'm just going to kind of squeeze these guys right into my berries. And they dry deeper red than they are squeezing in right now. They're kind of squeezing in. They look very pearlized as they squeeze in. But they're kind of like a softer red. But they dry much darker. So I'm going to put a big one there and a big one there. It's my little embellishment. All right, so there is my finished card. What do you think? Do you like it? Super cute, right? Love. Okay, so that's finished. I'm going to set this aside so it doesn't smudge. And this is drying, but I know it's still not dry. Close, but it's still not dry. So let's do the other card next. All right, this one is the next one we're going to do. And we're going to use this inside piece as a stencil. And I've got all the other pieces all cut. So let's set this aside. And I used on this one, this actually may be a close to my heart color. I think it's jade, but we're going to use garden green, which is pretty similar. So I have another green here. And what I want to do is put a little tiny bit of washi tape. I now have a lot of washi tape sitting on the desk. Usually I don't have any, but for some reason there's like literally 3 rolls sitting here. Okay, I'm gonna just do the fold over on that, put it on the back, and then we're going to tack that down. And then we're going to just blend some ink all the way on from the edges all the way in. So we're just going to start up here in the corner. And we'll go all the way around. Is anybody watching football today? Has your team played yet? My team, the 49ers, I think are playing right now. I think it just started, so it's okay. I can miss the beginning of it. All right, I'm just going to turn this so it's a little easier. So this color is definitely different than what's over here. But listen, there are so many green. I honestly have no idea what color I used because it was so long ago. But these cards are part of my guide, free guide for the month of September. So for those of you who have placed qualifying orders of 60 or more in the month of September, you can message me or email me and I will send you your choice of guides. So September was kind of a double month and I offered 2. So you could choose from this one, Nests of Winter, doing these cards. There's actually 8 cards. Or Wildly Flowering, which was cards and layouts. Okay, so we did the first layer. Now I'm going to pull that off. So that's kind of the darker layer. Then I'm going to flip it around. I literally flipped it around. And now I'm going to go back with kind of a lighter layer. I'm not really going to ink up much. And I'm just going to add more color and add like that second layer look. See, I can use the ink here to this whole thing one more time. And now we're going to get a double layer of the foliage, the leaves, the branches all the way around in a lighter color. Do any of you have this glass mat yet? I really want to know. And what do you think of it? Do you think it works really good for like what I'm doing right now? I think it does. All right, we're almost all the way around here, I think. Okay, and now we're going to pull this up. And now we have the double layer of leaves all the way around. How cool is that? So definitely a different color. This might not have been jade. Oh gosh. You guys, I really don't know what color I used. It wasn't limeade. It might have been like, I think it was jade. I don't know. I really don't know. I think this is jade right here. This is dark. Yeah, it might have been jade. So this is definitely a darker shade. But listen, it does the same effect, right? Okay, let's clean up, and close that. Okay, and now we're going to put the card together. So this one goes together pretty simply because we have already done the die cutting. I don't even have to stamp it or color it or anything. Now I did use this stamp and cut and color and all that. And it looks really cool, but I think these birds are beautiful just as is. So might as well. I feel like it's cheating to die cut the paper, but I also feel like it's absolutely genius. Okay, this is cut just slightly smaller than the card base, and I kind of wanted to do just a little bit of edging on here. I did not on this one, but I kind of want to do that here. So I'm just going to take this. It's got a little bit of the green on it and go along the edges. I've already put adhesive on it, but that's okay. It's just sticky on my fingers. So you could use the blending brush to ink the edges. You could use a sponge, or you could use a sponge dauber, or you could go direct to paper, which means right on the ink pad. I feel like doing direct to paper with the Stampin' Up! Inks because they are on a foam pad and they are so much juicier. That's a little bit more challenging. I mean, you're going to get like a way darker, thicker inking. All right. That did not go on there very straight. But at this point in the game, I'm not all that picky. Okay, so now this is going to go on in the middle. So you can see how it's not fully symmetrical, where there's a little bit more space on the left and right than there is on the top and bottom. So if that bothers you, that is just going to bother you, right? But it doesn't bother me that much. All right, so now we just put our birds on and we stamp our sentiment and voila. So let's do some dimensionals on the birds. Get those guys on and then I'll stamp. And we'll use the cling stamps. I'll give you a little tip on those for those who just haven't ventured into the cling world, or maybe you're just not sure about the cling. I wasn't sure, and this set was part of a bundle I used for an event, and so it was kind of like a, well, you have to use it for the event, so it was my first cling set. And I'm pleasantly surprised at how well they work. The reason I'm told that there's two kinds is because a cling set can get more detail and more depth to the stamp than a clear, which if you've been with Close to My Heart, we know that we can get just as much detail and dimension and all that with our cling sets, or our clear sets, but you know, maybe there's more detail on a cling. I don't know. I haven't necessarily tested that theory. All right, so we're stamping in black. I'm using my Memento ink. Let's get the sentiment onto a block. So it's sending thanks and much love. So I peel it off. There is a little bit of prep work that you need to do because the stickers come separate from the actual stamps, and so you need to like put them on, and like I'll have to do a video of that once I have one. But I think for me the biggest difference is that this is thicker than a clear stamp. So when I'm positioning and I'm trying to like line up, usually, you know, like you're lining up pretty close to your paper, and with the cling set, you have to be a little bit farther away from your paper so that you don't actually like accidentally put it down, if that makes sense at all. So I'm going to ink up. I think because, you know, it's thicker, so you're closer to the paper than you think you are, than you're used to being. Okay. So as I'm lining up, normally I would have it actually a little bit closer, but because I know it's a little thicker, I'm just kind of keeping it a little further away. And now I'm going to stamp, and there we go. Sending thanks and much love. Cleaning, you can clean with a baby wipe, you can clean with a chamois, you can clean with a scrubber. Whatever cleaning method you use, you do the same thing with a cling as you do with a clear. Okay, so that's no different. All right, let's put that one away. And I've already inked the edges of that while we were chatting. And so now all I have to do is dimension it up and put it on. So, and you saw me maybe cutting a little piece of the edge. So the edges like are that zigzag. So they're smaller little pieces. And so if you need just a smaller little piece, you can, you know, cut the edges and use those as well. Like never just throw away the edging of the dimensional package because you can use that somewhere. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And then the gems that I used here are, this goes with the collection. They're called Earth Tones Shimmer Gems. And they are this like kind of creamy color, green, kind of a beige color. And I think that's supposed to be like a brown color. But what I did is I have 3 of them, and I used a red marker. You can see I've already colored one there to color them and then put them on to the project. So I could use the enamel effects if I wanted to, but on this one I wanted to use the gems. So I just need to color 2 more, and I color them right on the carrier sheet. Do 1 layer of color. I'm going all the way around trying to get the sides too, which is why you can see it kind of on the carrier sheet a little bit. I'm gonna do a second layer, kind of get that color a little bit deeper. And I'm using the dark red blend marker. That is the, what are these called? Tri-blends. Spectrum Noir Tri-blends. Okay, I'm just gonna use my scissors to kind of poke that up. This is the one that's already dry, so this is the one I'm going to put on first. And then these are probably not dry yet, so I'm just going to be very careful. Pick it up, put it on there. It will transfer a little bit of the color to you if they're not dry yet, but it did not. Okay, so there is the completed card. There we go. There is your sending thanks card. Now, you could make this into a Christmas card. You could make all of them into just, you know, thank you cards, or this one has thinking of you always, a friend like you brings me happiness. There's a couple of different sentiments on there. This piece I can keep and use again as a stencil, so I'm going to hold on to that. And then I'm going to hope that our next piece is ready to go. So this is the one we're stamping. Actually, let's do the swag first. So here I have my little wreath swag pieces. Now, if you put them both together, kind of looks like a wreath, right? That looks kind of Christmassy, so that's the look I was going for. And here we're going to use Mossy Meadow. And I have another blending brush. I have all the green blending brushes. I got to clean them a little bit before I can put them away or reuse them for the different color. But we're just going to blend color all the way onto here, and then we're adding the berries after we put it on the card. So that's a pretty quick and easy little thing here. Tap off a little bit. I'm just going to add color. You can go as dark or as light as you want. Oops, I went real dark right there. Let's tap off a little bit more. Get a little more on the edge like I did on that one. And then I can make this one darker or lighter or the same. I kind of want them to be somewhat similar, right? You don't want it to be too much darker. Let's just use up some of the ink I have there. And I need a little bit more. Okay, so there are my two. Make sure I like them. Okay, we're going to clean off again the ink. So this is what's cool about the glass mat, is that you can use it like an all-purpose mat, but then it also has that like really solid surface for stamping. I have also found that with these stamps, I don't need like a cushion or the foam like we did with the Close to My Heart ones, because there's plenty of ink on there, and this is such a solid surface that there's no bumps or lumps, and so the stamping is going to be pretty good anyway. All right, now let's bring in this piece. And the only spots where I think it might not be dry are where it's a little bit thicker right here and right here. So I'm just going to kind of avoid that. Let's get our stamp out. Again, we're using Greetings of the Season, and now this time, I should put this one back. We're going to use Merry Christmas. So, I'm going to get my little eyeballs rolling here and figure out this is Merry. And this is Christmas, yep. And let's put it on a block. Okay, so Merry, and I want to kind of get them tight so that they stamp like pretty good, line it up pretty good. I could just go like right here and say, yep, that looks pretty lined up. All right, we're going to get our memento. Now, because this is going to be kind of a slippery surface, I want to go straight down and press and be really careful not to move the stamp at all, so that I don't get any dragging, okay? So, let me make sure I don't have any ink on my fingers as I hold the card. Okay, so we're gonna hold it. I know I have some shadowing, I apologize. We're gonna go straight down, and I can already feel that it kind of slid a little bit. I'm just gonna hold it and pop up. You can see it slid. Wow. Boo. I probably should have let it dry a tiny bit more. And then this is going to need a little bit of time to dry as well. But as soon as I put it down there, I was at like a funny angle. You know that with the camera. I could feel it slide. So my bad, but it's still, you can still read it. It's not like totally illegible. So I'm not going to put these on quite yet. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put the berries on, I'll wait for everything to dry, and then I'll put it on. But I do have my glitter strip, so we can put that guy on there with the tear tape. Cover up the inks so we don't get any more boo-boos. All right, this tear tape is super tacky. So the other one I use, I think it's in my drawer, is 1/8 inch. And so it's like super skinny. And then of course it's easier to get in the center of like a 1/4 inch piece. But let's just put this right at the top, and I'm going to snip off both sides. There we go. So I can flip it over and easily see that. Edging. There we go. Okay, let's put on our berries. And then everything will dry. And then we'll have 3 almost complete cards. I do want to say that with these swags and with majority of the Stampin' Up! Dies and stamps, I have been stamping and then die cutting because there is a little bit less of a border around the stamped image than we're used to. So Close to My Heart left a little bit more of a border so that you could see what you were stamping a little bit better, and you could center it, get it in the middle and all that. And I'm finding I'm struggling a tiny bit with most of, I'm struggling, not a tiny bit, I'm struggling with most of the stamps. And so I have just kind of gotten in the habit now of stamping and then die cutting, which is why when I open this up and I have my extra bits in here, they're all stamped. So stamped, stamped, stamped. I have a whole bunch of these because I thought these were like really super cool. Stamped and stamped. So stamped and then dyed. And it's easier. So if you do that, always stamp a couple extra and then die cut them all. And then you can kind of pick and choose which ones, you know, turned out the absolute best. And then also with die cutting, you're going to want to put, put your die on your stamped image and then use washi tape to hold it there, hold it in place. I did a video yesterday and remember I said, oh, I wish I had some washi tape to kind of hold this in place so that it's actually like going to be, you know, tacked down there exactly where I want it. But that was, I stamped and then die cut, but I was doing 3 at a time. So I was just hoping and praying that I got them all lined up. So anyway, stamp and then die, and then, you know, have a couple extra, keep it with your stamps, and then you'll just be good to go. So let me pull this out of the way so it can dry. We'll bring in, this is the first one I did because the other one I think is still drying. And then here's these two. So this is the Nessa Winter card workshop that I created. Me, Jen Patrick. It's an exclusive by me. I did 8 cards with directions and cutting information and everything. So if this is your jam and you have done a $60 order in the month of September, this is one of the offerings. All you have to do is message me or email me and I will send you that guide, and it will make 8 cards. But listen, if you get this paper, okay, you can see how much paper I have left. I made the 8 cards and then I've made other like random things. I've made other cards. I mean, I have a ton of the paper. So it comes with 2 each of 6 sheets of paper, a total of 12 pieces of paper. And then of course I threw in, you know, some cardstock that I used to make the cards. But you get so much paper that you could make like, I don't even know how many. I couldn't even tell you. Probably at least 4 sets of the 8 cards. So that'd be 32 cards. Like you could get so much more out of it. You could make layouts. You could do all kinds of things. So it's just kind of like, here's what you can do with it. And then, you know, keep playing because there's just so much paper. You could cut out, I don't know how many of these, probably, I don't know, maybe 10 per sheet of paper. And then some of them like kind of go off the edge of the paper. if that makes sense. So like if this part were off the edge of the paper, like, you know, here, you could just, you know, cover it up, like I'm covering up part of it, but you could cover it up with a sentiment, or you could have it like kind of going, like coming in from the side. Like you could make it work. You could make some of them that are like off the edge of the paper. Let me show you what I mean. You could make some of them work. I'm going to try not to smudge those things, but here's the paper. So like this one here is off the edge, right? This one here is off the edge. You could still make that work. This one here is slightly off the edge with the berries and stuff. You could still make that work. You have part of the bird here. You could have it popping up from behind something. I mean, you don't want a headless bird, so that might not work for you. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you know, or even you could die cut this one and piece them together, and then you have a full bird. So if you know, and then here's one bird, you could kind of just trim it off, and then you just have one bird. So you can cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mostly full birds out of one sheet of paper, and there's 2 of these sheets, and then the same probably with the red one. So you get a lot of this, and then you could make a ton of different things with it. So, and then this is the back, which I didn't use any of this in any project because you're using this, right? So lots of different paper. We made 3 cards here. Maybe you can tell me which one your favorite is. That's one of them, but we'll go with 1, 2, or 3. I don't know which one's my favorite, but I think they're all pretty like unique and cool in their own way. So 1, 2, or 3, tell us which one's your favorite. And thank you so much for joining me for demo time today. We have the rest of the day to create and watch football, if that's your jam. Spend time with family, if that's what you're doing this weekend. And then your challenges go all the way through Wednesday, so we have some time. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. Bye.